Some of the best advice I got in pressure matches was, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a 7-game match. Be down 2-0, 3-0. Don't worry about it. You have to stay positive and look forwards and realize that the match is not one game for a reason.
Right, and one of the things or the pitfalls that can sometimes happen is if you understand that there's an emotional component to every match and that when it does go long, you're going to have highs and lows, especially with the streakiness of the sport, to realize that it's staying calm throughout the match, especially if you do have difficulty in the first or second. So
Yep.
We'll get going right now in the doubles with Prachi and Isabel. Right now, I would think that they are the slight favorite, but with Lily, you never can count her out, even though she's playing with a very young Ishana Deb as a partner here. Looks like they're getting either their signals mixed up or Ishana's giving some advice on what type of ball she would like to see come back.
And I have to get that cleared up because I am playing mixed doubles with Lily at this tournament, so hopefully she knows what signals she wants by the time we play.
Okay, so here's a question, Han. Knowing that you will be doing hand signals, will you be using your common set of signals or will you go with Lily's?
Probably go with hers, and it's just a matter of personal preference, but it's just a matter of being consistent. I usually will defer because I've played so much doubles that I'm comfortable with all sorts of signals. Of course, playing with Zhang, playing with David, Zhang, it's just like everybody uses a different set. So. But you were talking earlier about the partner calling the service rather than the server calling the service, and I personally like that style a little bit better.
Right, and the other option that you might see is that the more experienced player will just call it, knowing that it's easier for them to see where some tension might be and allow the player to say, you know what, if your serve's going to go long, I don't mind it going long if you have this type of spin on the ball.
Right.
So I know occasionally when I've played many, many years ago, especially with lower rated players, if it's in, let's say, a doubles rating event, is that they just expect the better player to do all the calling, and you try to think what they're thinking so that you keep them nice and relaxed and not worry about it. Somebody rips their service back because you know that their serve might go long or a little bit high.
Yeah. It's important, I think, in this match for Lily not to try to do too much with the spin and the speed, and to do more with the placement. Sometimes putting a little too much spin on the ball in doubles in the wrong way can backfire on you, especially if you are the stronger player, because you can set your partner up with a more difficult return.
You know, one thing, Han, going back to both of our experiences, I also had a chance to play with David Zhang, and while a lot of people know him as a nice flat hitter and a lot of power, he tended to focus on the placement, and that's what the international world-class players do. And he might go through a whole game without even smashing one ball, but he gave his partner a chance to get that opening and set him up. And I think that that's what, as you said with Lily, that would probably be the smartest move in this match, is to give Ishana a chance to play more comfortable shots.
Right.
Because when Lily opens up, that ball's flying. And Ishana's going to have a little bit more difficulty maintaining. So like right there, Lily playing a ball wide to Isabel's backhand, so when she steps around, she's got to do a little bit more lifting.
Yeah. And Timothy gave me some good insight yesterday. He was saying that the ICC coaches have been really working on Lily's short game and service game. And in his words, they told her to play table tennis, not to play rallies. And I think she's really improved on that part of her game. It's going to help her in the doubles match.
I watched her warming up with one of her practice partners on a side table, and I was amazed at how well she was getting close to the ball on the short balls and not just trying to put a racket on it, but making a real return and then getting out and getting ready for the next ball. A lot of times players reach for that short ball because they're so eager to get it over the net, but they're giving up a little bit of placement and spin when you don't get close enough to it to where you can have a little bit of a follow through.
Now, the ICC team having one game point after being down earlier this game. Ishana missing a little bit of an opportunity to get an opening there.
I think that put pressure on Lily.
Yeah.
She was surprised that she didn't make that first ball, but with Ishana, and there you see a little bit of that inexperience. I mean, that flip, the ball wasn't even above more than an inch before Ishana was trying to drive it forward, and it had quite a bit of underspin.
And Lily just realizing that if she can just control the table, things are going to even out. Mistakes are going to come from both sides.
And Lily can really reduce the quality of shot that Ishana is going to have to face by placing it, moving it around, versus just trying to attack everything that comes off the end of the table. And that's one thing I've seen with Lily's style over the last 3 to 4 years, is that she's always played a more thinking player's game of what to do, when to do it, and her forehand loop has been one of the parts of her game that you could see that she was making choices in judgment instead of just going into autopilot.
Yep, where Lily gets in trouble as opposed to some of the other players is she does have that thinking game, but emotionally she can get a little bit out of control during the match, especially if she perceives that something's not going her way or the luck is with the other player, or she gets frustrated by something external to the match. It's very easy for her to lose focus. So
I think her
that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, her U.S. Open matches, for the fans that had a chance to watch that live stream, she had such a great match against Ariel there, kind of stopped that streak from continuing. But it really does take her to be completely committed to playing offense all the way through, and you can't really do a game plan B if you're going to play with that much spin and power. And game 1 goes to world champions table tennis club with the 2 junior team members, Isabel and Prachi.
Yeah. In that first game, a couple things I noticed. Lily's still not getting her footwork quite right on defense. With a player like Ishana, inexperienced, she's going to make a few mistakes, but she's also going to give the opponent some openings. And Lily's having a difficult time dealing with it. It's not necessarily the strength of the opening, but because the timing is a little bit different from singles, the placement is a little bit different, and you're a little bit out of position by default at the start of it. She's got to move in. She's got to adjust her footwork a little bit. But on the plus side for ICC, Lily's won probably at least 5 free points off pushes. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier with the improved short game. Not just touching the ball, but actually digging into it and making a real return, as you said, Sean. They've won tons of free points off that shot.
And the big challenge that Lily is going to face as the much stronger player within the doubles team is that she can't overplay. She can't try to play for herself and for her partner, Ishana, because that's so easy to think like, well, I'll do something even more. So let her partner get through this learning experience, continue to play good placement shots. Lily still has to take charge when the shot is there and not just go into a passive mode to say, well, I won't let my partner see anything difficult. She still has to be the stronger player on the table.
Yeah.
But Prachi is so strong right now, as well as having a world teammate next to her, so it should be an interesting matchup now that the orders will change.
The improvement of some of our younger players, especially in the Bay Area and other areas around the country that are sort of hot spots for junior development, has been just staggering to me. Personally, I've traveled to some of these clubs, and just seeing the improvement is really impressive. Just taking ICC as an example, they've got probably at least 4 or 5 junior players that have really stepped it up at the cadet and junior level this year. And I know they've concentrated a lot of their efforts on those players, so it's really paying off for them. Ishana, of course, is one of those players. She's made a lot of strides, and hopefully she continues to improve. Just the fact that she's in this match with Lily as a partner just shows her improvement and the confidence that ICC has in her continued development. I know, for example, Angela Guan, when I was over there probably a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years now, she was pretty much a beginning player. They're trying to develop her as a chopper, but just the amount of improvement is staggering.
So on that last shot, you saw Ishana pop up the ball, giving the opponent a chance to really attack it, but Lily's so strong with the counterattack, able to take charge at that point, and she needs to do that, especially there's a nice placement push there by Lily. When Lily can attack, that sends an even a stronger message, because then she's winning points on placement and the attack, so there's really nothing that you can do to hurt the ICC team. But yeah, it's definitely on the kind of incubator concept of bringing in new talent at a very young age, and then letting the kind of the elder statesmen pull them along. We're seeing that at multiple clubs.
Yeah.
These hot spots with Lily Yip's club and ICC and world champions are just a great model for the rest of these new full-time clubs coming in, that it can be done. And great thing with USA Table Tennis is that they're getting huge opportunities to play on the junior tour, as well as in the World Championships and North American Cup, North American Championships. And for Ishana right now, again, as we saw in the earlier match, this is almost like a international match for her. She's playing 2 players on our world junior team,
Yeah.
and that can only serve her to realize that the finish line isn't that far away, or at the end of the tunnel is, you can see what's going to be coming up in the short future. Very solid push by Prachi. Again, if you don't do that at the international level, you're picking up the ball at the barrier. So really putting a lot of pressure and depth on that heavy push.
Just trying to do a little bit too much there
yeah.
on that flip after the strong return on the previous ball, but just gambled on being able to read Lily's serve.
And that's the nice spinny opening that Lily's able to do. And I believe because Prachi was already off the table a little bit, that's what
so effective in doubles to
the
do
footwork. Again, a very solid block by Lily, not doing anything outside the norm, but causing world champions club team to have some difficulty with the footwork.
I feel like Prachi almost tried to win a point outright with her serve there. It was not usual for her.
And Lily has to make that backhand loop, but it was a ball that ICC likes to have go in that direction, where there's multiple pushes, so there's really no pressure on Ishana to do too much, because obviously she can push 4 or 5 balls without any difficulty. It's the counterattacks and the fast change of pace that will show her inexperience. And we will see this, Han, especially in doubles, that because the beautiful counter block there by Prachi, Lily has to watch out that when she does go for a shot, that she's not exposing her partners wide angles. But you will see in doubles often games being split just because of the change in partners receiving each ball, and ICC takes game number 2.
Certain rotations are just going to be better for certain teams, but it would be, whether it's style or having a skill gap between 2 of the players on one team. There are just different rotations that work better, and it's always intriguing when doubles matches go to the deciding game. What happens, which team has more of an advantage, can create a greater differential on the rotation that they like better.
And a lot of times when they do the service flip in doubles, you'll see teams actually give the serve away, hoping then to set up the better order at the second half of the 5th game. However, because both teams are playing on the same side of the table and getting the same partner matchup, a lot of times you can jump out to a big lead at the beginning, especially in the old 21-point games. That was true. Now in 11 points, it's probably less of a factor.
Yeah.
But that 5th game, you'd like to have the order that you're most comfortable with, getting to maybe around 7 something, and have that order present, because with serve and serve return what it is, you can really lock down another team.
Yeah. I think the doubles matches that we've watched here have actually been pretty good. I know some doubles matches are close to unwatchable because just the number of rallies is so limited. especially when you have two teams whose serve and serve returns are exceptional. Uh, Teams will just get locked down, or the third ball attack is just the finish. So.
And I think the big difference, especially in this match now compared to the Lily Yip Table Tennis Club against Gao Jun, where it was a 3-0, is that both these teams are doing a much better job as playing as one player. They're helping each other, complementing each other. They're setting up a point versus just having two strong players playing singles out there, which means you'll never get a setup because every shot that comes back will either be coming faster or without regard for the angles. So while Ishana is going to be gaining a lot of experience from this type of match, I also think that Lily's going to be gaining quite a bit because she's going to get a chance to see exactly what her partner can deal with and to force her to make better decisions, even though she's the stronger player and has to deal with maybe defending an opening that she didn't expect because Ishana might not have put the ball in the right spot. Really think if a player wants to improve their level as a singles player, playing doubles is not a bad way of doing it because it really gives you a broader perspective of what's happening during the point while also focusing a lot on your footwork. If you don't have good footwork, you can't play doubles.
Playing against some very good doubles teams, it is more difficult to play against an exceptional doubles team than it is to play against a singles player, which is a little bit counterintuitive because you'd think it's harder on the doubles pair, but pairs that have played together a lot and are that good, everything's just coming back at you so quickly. They know exactly where the ball's going because they set each other up all the time.
I know, Han, looking backwards a number of years, when I was a little bit more active internationally, the one doubles team that just impressed the heck out of me was Lu Lin and Wong Tao, because Lu Lin wasn't that great of a singles player, but as a team, their points were so tight and they actually forced you exactly into what they were doing on every combo. And I guess they won the '92 Olympics competitive throughout their entire careers, and it's really working as a team. Roscoff Fetzner is another example, Lupulesco, Primorac. It's the same thing. It's when the teams set each other up that is when you really see a higher level of doubles play versus just kind of the one great singles player fighting. And even Timo Boll these days, I mean, with Christian Seuss, who's not that high ranked as a singles player, it's playing with a childhood or junior teammate that can really make a huge difference. Just the number of reps you get in matches to know what they're comfortable with.
This game has become pretty lopsided. ICC with a 9-3 advantage.
It shows that they've kind of broken the pattern because they won game number 2, and then normally game number 3 it should shift back to what happened in game number 1. But they kind of, in tennis you'd say, kind of break service. They kind of broke the doubles pattern, now have a commanding lead in a game that should favor them quite a bit with this next order change.
Yeah, you know their confidence is going to be high after breaking that rotation pattern. You see what adjustments Coach Stefan Feth of World Champion Table Tennis Academy National Men's Team coach, whether he can flip the script here.
And I think also, again, I can't stress what a great job these hotspot clubs have done. We've got Stefan Fett giving advice to Isabella and Prachi, and then you have Max Constantini with Ishana and Lily. They, 7 days a week, they're working with these players, doing everything they can to help prepare not only for strong competitions like the U.S. Nationals, but to represent the U.S. And this has to be one of the most heated rivalries. I mean, in the Bay Area, these are the two top clubs. So having the junior girls team event, you've got Lily out there with a future star playing against two national team members. I'm sure that the stakes are even higher.
Oh yeah, and I think the coaching program has been very helpful. I know we've had some high-level coaches, but I think it's become much more formalized now, and with the ITTF certification programs that we've brought over, it's going to be good for the kids because a lot of the concepts that maybe some of the coaches couldn't articulate or teach before are going to be taught. So a lot of the players are going to be much more fundamentally sound and have these concepts that I know I wasn't taught as a junior player.
Yeah, it just seems the systematic approach to the game that has now become the standard. You do train 5 days a week, and in some cases, some of these junior players might actually do 2 sessions a day. I know like Timothy Wong out when he's playing at ICC, he's definitely doing 2 sessions and sometimes possibly even a third off the table or maybe some other physical or service training. So they say in the US we really don't have professional players, but I would kind of disagree. I think at the cadet and junior level, our players are as committed and training just as hard as any country in the world. They might not have the same number of years of experience as their Chinese counterparts, but compared to the Europeans, they're right on par.
And World Champion Table Tennis Academy team is trying to break the pattern right back. They've got a 2-point lead now at the beginning of this game. They're playing quite a bit more aggressively.
Doesn't seem like Prachi and Isabel have really figured out how to take advantage of the kind of the lopsided team. I'm sure Stefan Fett probably mentioned they both need to attack a little bit more and not have one do all the attacking, because then it almost becomes a Lily versus one player type of match. They need to put sustained attacks and pressure. There was a nice deep serve against Ishana, really forcing her to make a strong return. Can actually see Lily looking like she's giving a signal for a no spin serve. And again, Ishana just needing to step around another half a step to get that forehand. That was a critical point. It could have tied up the match. And there's that short game that you spoke about, Han, just really controlling the placement and the angle so well. Beautiful combination there by ICC, with Ishana getting a solid opening, but really the strong over-the-table play of Lily to tie the game up.
One of the things that Prachi and Isabel are probably having trouble with is they both played Lily in singles this tournament, and Lily is not playing the same style or the same way that she normally does in singles. Some of the shots that she normally might take, she's being smart about it and just deferring to Ishana to make an opening, or deferring for the other team to make an opening so that she doesn't put her partner out of position.
And Stefan Fett, I think, extremely wisely taking a timeout, knowing that not only if they go down 8-6 in this match, but it's going to put so much pressure on the next singles match. And the next singles match should be the most exciting that we have so far in the tournament, because I'm sure it's going to be a rematch with Prachi and Lily. So
right, and to put that pressure on Prachi is going to be very difficult, even though she's won the previous meeting.
Right, beating a player when it's an upset 2 times in a row, much more difficult than the first time to get that upset.
There are expectations that you have a chance to win. There are a lot of mental games going on inside the player's head, and it can change the way the player plays. It can reduce the focus on the tactics that worked in the first meeting, or sometimes cause an over-reliance on the same tactics, and the opponent might adjust.
Yeah, I think, Han, that's really what you see so often at all levels of play in USA table tennis tournaments, where you beat somebody once and you think, well, I can just do the same thing and beat them again, and no smart player is going to stick with losing tactics. They're going to make a change, whether it's more aggressive or maybe it's being more passive after you've beaten a person. Tactics all seem to work. It's the execution that's the problem, and to be able to stay with it when you're not sure what makes the most sense. So critical point right here in game 4. You can see that ball was a bad mistake. I mean, that forehand smash should have been made, possibly re-looped, but Ishana going for a flat hit, not really in position. And again, good pressure. So credit Coach Fett calling a timeout getting a 2-point advantage right off of the timeout, and then putting huge pressure.
There's clear tactics to take advantage of the lopsided team.
I mean, it almost looked like at the last second he realized what was going to come up in the exchange, where Ishana was going to be in the receiver than the server mode, and to say put pressure on her.
Right. Force her to make a shot and to react to the ball instead of just being able to put the ball on the table and let Lily do the initiation.
And there's a great placement shot by Lily. You can't open up a ball high to the center and not expect a player of Lily's capability to finish it directly or to actually play the ball at the last player to return the ball. And that ball caught the edge.
Lily needs to be careful with her focus there. She's shown great maturity and not getting frustrated with her teammates' mistakes.
And that's really the key when you're playing with, whether it's an experienced player or a lower level, is not to allow your frustration at the fact that they might miss a ball be known to them, because that'll just put even more pressure on the lower player to try to overhit or to overcompensate. And I have a feeling that with Coach Max in the corner, he's going to explain to Ishana, just take your shots, don't worry about it. Play what you're going to do. You're going to have some mistakes, but you're also going to have some surprising offensive plays. Max is getting quite animated right now. But that's his style. It's a little bit of the Bella Caroli style of you can do it, you can do it.
That's certainly his style of coaching, and of course different players are going to prefer different styles of coaching. You know, some players don't really react well to
Right, they almost
that
just want
style.
X's and O's, where to play the ball, when to do it, and there's other players who come back who might need that emotional safety net to say, you know what, I've got confidence in you. I know that even if you've lost this last game, that you can pull it together and do it a little bit better. And I think Lily has responded well to that type of coaching style we saw in the Olympic tryouts, where she won that critical match against Chris Sue after losing to her earlier in the tournament, and Max was in her corner. Not every player, as you said, feels comfortable when they might have a little stronger foundation or constitution to say, you know, just tell me what to do. You don't need to motivate me or keep me pumped up.
Differences in player personalities and what they're used to.
And again, I think not only with this rivalry of which Bay Area club has the best juniors club program, Ishana is most likely playing the last match. So there's a huge advantage for world champions if they can get to it. So this doubles match and that point sequence in game 4, in my mind, has been the most critical point or juncture in this match. Lily can win it with a very young partner if they take the doubles.
Right. It's not surprising that they chose to go this route with the doubles, because Angela Guan, of course, is a defensive player. And they played her in the singles, but I think it would be very awkward for an offensive-defensive pairing to try to play this critical third match together.
A little mistake there by Isabel. I think she was preparing so much for that cross-court push to her forehand that Lily has done so well. Oh, Ishana almost getting to that backhand, but again, still kind of out of position out on the forehand side of the court.
There's a lot of cross-court patterns being played. There's not a whole lot of placement going on so far this game.
That was the problem with Isabella playing that one backhand, but hanging out on the forehand side. Lily was able to really take advantage of the open court. We've said it so many times, where best players, the top players, can really choose where they're going, and they're not forced to only put the ball on the table. And Lily's showing that you give her an open, she's going to take advantage of it. And Ishana playing very smart tactics right now, not going for too much, but keeping the pressure on with deep pushes. And I know Stefan wishes he had a timeout in his pocket right now, because it's looking like ICC has a slight stronger pattern matchup right now. Lily's got to move another half a step to make that backhand.
I'm just hanging back from the table a little bit too much. The ball's not coming out.
That's interesting. Ishana's giving the signals, which is a great sign that she's really taking a lot more control over what type of ball she'd like to see. But on those short balls, reaching for the ball isn't going to get it over. You've got to commit and take that full step in to get underneath the ball and then get out just as quickly as you stepped in. And timeout by Max.
It's another pretty usual spot for a coach to call a timeout after dropping a couple points with a big lead. Want to make sure just to steady the ship.
Again, one of the goals of these webcasts is to share what the top players and coaches are thinking with our avid table tennis fans. And some players would say, why did you take a timeout when you're up 7-5? Well, it's because you don't want to take a timeout when it's 7-all and the momentum is on the side of the team coming back, and then you're forced to break what they're doing.
Right.
Break it right now and hopefully regain the slight momentum, and to be thinking, okay, what if it does go to 7-all? You can give extra tactics during that phase. So
Right.
Max right now on the ICC, he's really talking to Ishana directly, not really focusing so much on Lily, but to let her know that, you know, the game is going to get close. Just because you had a 7-3 lead, it's not over. It's going to tighten up, and every point's going to be that much more difficult to win as they make the final turn. What I'd love to see, Han, is that Lily keep talking to her partner. When your partner is giving you tips and advice and confidence, that can really make a difference in your movement and in your shot selection.
I think they knew that was coming, but just weren't sure.
Well, the other thing, Han, is that as much as I said Stefan would like to have a timeout in his pocket, he got one.
Right.
When Max calls the timeout, now he tells Prachi to put some very strong 2 points directly. He said, be aggressive on the serve. Don't be afraid to serve it out. Maybe juice up the serve.
There.
And boom.
And he's got a little smirk on his face right now because
he needed the timeout. He got it. And then they just took 3 points, and he's actually amazed. Well, I don't think it was a bad timeout for Max. He wanted to make
sure. I think it was necessary either way.
But that's why I said I really like to see Lily do as much communication with Ishana. That's a tough ball, but oh, lucky return there by Team ICC, because they could have had a 5-0 run on them. That ball just went off the end, so Max's timeout might not be so bad, but Isabel with a very nice opening.
The issue sometimes with the weaker player on a team like this playing a little bit too safe is you put the stronger player under a lot of pressure to be able to play defense.
Wow.
World
The
champion
tide
table
turned
tennis academy
so fast.
has 2 match points now in a critical doubles match.
And right now, from experience, I can tell you that Ishana's probably thinking about 10 different things right now, knowing that they had the upper hand, knowing that she had 2 deep serves placed on her that she couldn't put into play. She just needs to calm down.
In addition to the 2 from the previous game.
Thing is, they deuce it up, she'll see serves coming at her again. And world champions with a very strong comeback. And clearly with the upper hand right now, going up 2-1 in this team match. But that's going to make match number 4 even more exciting.